What do I say? What do I say? But what did they tell me, man? What did they tell me? You're being too negative. You're being too negative. They kept winning. They're winning, though. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That has to rank up there with one of the worst losses that I have ever seen from a professional sports team. That has to be one of the worst losses I've ever seen. I thought that soul-snatching game in Seattle a couple Mondays ago took the rest of me. I'm about to go throw up. I'm about to go throw up. That is the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. They ruin Christmas and they ruin the New Year. They ruin everything. What don't they ruin? But it's okay, though, right? Because they were winning the whole season. They were winning the whole season. Got it. Got it. And look, I was drinking the Kool-Aid at one point, too. But a couple weeks ago, when Jalen Hertz came out here and he said, you know what? We're not committed. We're not committed. He slipped up. He said, we're not committed. He was right. They're not committed. They don't care. This team is soulless. They are gutless. They have no heart. They have 4 plays in the damn playbook. They have no care in the world for anything, and they are losers. You hear me? Losers. They are not winning anything this year. They are not winning anything. They are losers. And it's sad, man. It's sad when you waste so much talent. You have so much talent on this football team, but they don't care. This team will never compare to last year. This team won't even compare to the year before because they don't want it. They don't want it. The Arizona Cardinals get the ball score, and then you get the ball back with 5 minutes to go. They try an onside kick. They try an onside kick because they're tanking. They're trying to lose. They're trying to lose. And they give you the ball right back. You go down. You score 3. And you give them the ball back, and you can't stop a nosebleed. This defense is the worst defense I've ever seen. 36-yard catch and run. They get it down to the 5-yard line. James Conner, 2-yard rushing touchdown. You just let Jonathan Gannon, of all people, come into the link and beat you down. The 3-win Cardinals, one of the worst teams in the league. There's nothing else to say, man. This team is embarrassing. This team's embarrassing, man. But it's all good, man. They called me a hater last week because I wasn't impressed with them blowing a 17-point lead against the New York Giants. No, I wasn't impressed. They're up 21-6 at halftime. They come out and blow a 15-point lead to Kyler Murray, to James Conner, who ran all over you. 220 rushing yards? Do you even care? See, that's my biggest thing, man. You can lose, but the way you lose irritates me. I didn't see any body language that showed me that they cared. They didn't care. Jalen Hurts, Hail Mary, intercepted in the end zone to lose this game. At the end, there was no hope anyway. What is there to say now, man? I mean, I can go down the list. I can address certain parts of the team that suck. But fact of the matter is, no matter how much talent you have or don't have, if you don't have any hope for yourself, there's nothing else to say. They're now 11-5. They dropped to 5th in the NFC. And the most frustrating part about this entire situation, the worst part about this whole thing is that this is such a weird year in the NFL, and every team looks wishy-washy with the exception of maybe 1 or 2. Every team looks awful. And the opportunity to take the NFC by your hands right there, it's in front of you, and you don't want it. You don't want it. You don't want it. This is, matter of fact, this is a game where you start to look at Nick Sirianni and question if he should even be the coach of this team anymore. I can't even look at anybody and say I'm happy with anything today. They scored 31 points, and I don't even know what to say. This is the most embarrassing loss that I have ever seen. This is the most embarrassing loss. We go back to 2020. They had some pretty bad losses, man. This is up there. This is up there, man. You replace your defensive coordinator, and the guy you replace him with stinks. Stinks. Did this defensive line age 35 years? Did they age 40 years? They can't get to the quarterback. You got Josh Sweat crying on the sideline because he can't get to Kyler Murray. He had him in his grasp. Kyler Murray does a little 360, throws a lob up to the end zone. It's one-handed by James Conner. You hit the panic button. You got rid of your defensive coordinator, and you bring in a guy who sucks. Every coach must be fired. And maybe Nick Sirianni. I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. This team has no hope. This team has no hope. Let's talk about Brian Johnson. Last drive. Before you kick the field goal, right? By the way, the Eagles barely had any possessions in this game. Barely. Brian Johnson calls the quarterback keeper on first down. Second down is an RPO. Jalen Hertz pulls it and runs. Loss. And then he calls a 3rd and 20 screen to Kenny Gainwell, which, by the way, injures Devonte Smith. Who knows if he's going to be out now. You call a screen on 3rd and 20, which sets up a 4th and 15 for the go-ahead field goal. But then they just end up giving it away. These are the worst coordinators I've ever seen. This game made me miss Jonathan Gannon. Oh, man. Defensive line, it starts with them. They have been absolutely absent. They have been nowhere to be seen. They are ghosts. They're not even shells of their former selves. They're non-existent. What happened to the days of actually stuffing the running back and not giving up yards on the ground and actually being tough? What happened to those days, man? Fletch and BG. Where's Josh Sweat been? Hassan Reddick. Jalen Carter, ever since the first 6 weeks, has gone into oblivion. Defensive line blows. They can't stop anybody. Then in the air, obviously Darius Slay's out. James Bradbury stinks this year. Keely Ringo gets called for a DPI, which shouldn't have been a DPI, but, I mean, you know, the way things are going in this game, yeah, he's going to get called for that. Eli Ricks gets his ankles broken. I mean, I could just go down the list, man. This team did not invest in any linebackers. They thought they would suffice with Nick Morrow, who they cut in training camp and brought back. Shaq Leonard. That was supposed to be the premier signing. Shaq Leonard. I was wrong. Shaq Leonard has nothing left in the tank. This is embarrassing, man. This is embarrassing. Cardinals absolutely dominated this game. And if the Eagles won, we were going to say, oh, well, they won. Even though the Cardinals had the ball for, 35 minutes, was it? Probably more. 39 minutes. 39 minutes to 20. 39 minutes to 20. They had 450 yards of offense. The Arizona 3-win Cardinals. And I know what the people are probably saying out there, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. They're probably out there saying, yo, why is this guy such a hater? I'm not a hater, man. I want to see this team do so well. I want to see this team play so good, but I just don't have any hope left. I don't have any hope left. There is none. There is none. This team has no heart. They are gutless. It starts with your defense. You couldn't get off the field. Couldn't get off the field, man. Couldn't get off the field. You let James Conner, who, by the way, great player, shout out to James Conner, runs for $128 on 26 carries. They ran the ball 40 times. You could not get off the field. Jalen Hertz played pretty good in this game. DeAndre Swift, when they actually gave him the damn football, played pretty well. You saw A.J. Brown there at the end, frustrated, jawing on the sideline. I'd be too. They tried to make A.J. as the villain. They tried to paint him out as the bad guy. I'd be pissed too. I want to know from you guys out there, man, and I'll get to the chat in just a few minutes here. How many plays do the Eagles have in the playbook? How many plays do they have in the playbook? I swear, I think it's only 6. And that's being generous. That's being generous. I think the plays in the playbook are quarterback keeper, screen to the running back, screen to the wide receiver, RPO, and I can't even think of any others. They don't do anything. Oh, my bad. The 50-yard bomb. The 50-yard bomb down the sideline. I think they only have 5 plays in the playbook. I'm not even kidding. And you know what's so embarrassing about that is Brian Johnson sat here and watched Shane Steichen, who, by the way, is about to punch a ticket to the playoffs with Gardner Minshew. All right? Brian Johnson sat here last year and watched Shane Steichen come up with the most creative playbook this Eagles team has ever seen. You're telling me he can't go back and watch a film from last year and just implement a couple different plays? The dude finally tried a trick play in this game with Kenny Gainwell throwing a left-handed pass for 17 yards, and it actually worked. But after that, let's go back to our quarterback keepers and our screens. Predictable, ugly, disgusting, embarrassing. There's nothing left to say, man. This was a perfect opportunity yet again to go out there and, solidify yourself, get the number 2 seed, especially with what happened last night with Detroit, and you don't take advantage of any opportunities. So I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say. It's so frustrating. This has become one of my least favorite Eagle teams with just how much potential I thought they had. And there's so many reasons why it's going wrong, but I think it all comes back to the belief in themselves and this system. They have no belief in the coaching. I don't feel like Jalen Hertz believes in Brian Johnson one bit. Now, does that mean Jalen Hertz can't play better? I mean, no. Like, Jalen Hertz has had poor decision-making all year. He's still running out of the pocket way too early, but I feel like he doesn't trust Brian Johnson. Maybe not even Nick Sirianni at this point. It's ugly, man. It's ugly. Anyway, welcome into the A to Z Philly post-game show. We're ranting, we're raving, and who knows, man? Who knows? All my people up on the Instagram, come on over to YouTube. Come on over to A to Z Philly on YouTube, where I can read all the comments, and we'll shout some of the people out. I want to get to your comments in the chat, because this is supposed to be a nice, fun day. And once again, my mood is spoiled thanks to the Philadelphia Eagles. I didn't think they were going to lose the game. I'll be honest, okay? I thought they were going to sneak one out. I said at halftime, I said, you know what? They're going to win this game. And the Cardinals blew their best shot in the first half when they had a 10-minute drive and an 8-minute drive, and they only punched in 6 points off those drives. And then Kyler Murray throws up an easy one, 99 yards to the house by Sidney Brown. I said, okay, Cardinals had their best shot, but they blew it. I didn't think the Eagles were going to blow this game. There was no way I thought they were blowing this game. I just can't believe it, man. I can't believe it. What are they going to say after this game? What are they going to say after this game, right? Because they were all rah-rah last week. Oh, well, the fact that we won, we're high when we're winning. Well, how about when you get absolutely embarrassed? You got absolutely pantsed on your home field at the Link by Jonathan Gannon. I got to stop reminding myself, man. Jonathan Gannon and that stupid smirk on his face over there on the other sideline. That ugly, stupid smirk. Jonathan Gannon. Jonathan Gannon beat you 35-31 in your home building. This has to be up there with one of the most embarrassing losses that I've seen. I mean, you probably got Joe and Delco at home smashing his TV. You probably got Bob out there at the tailgates. I mean, people went out the tailgate for this. They got up at 8 in the morning, drove 2 hours to the Link, tailgated, thinking they were going to see a great game, and they're probably throwing up their burgers at this point. It's like I can go through and analyze the game, but like I don't feel that there's a point, man. I don't feel that there's a point, man. I'm frustrated. Come over to the YouTube channel, guys. Hit that like button and subscribe to the show. If you're on Facebook, share the show. Give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts in the chat. Are the Eagles done? Are the Eagles done? Because right now I'm done. I'm frustrated, man. What do you say after this game? What do you say after this one? Eagles have no identity right now. They have no culture. They have no belief. They don't care. They don't care. That's the worst part. They don't care. I can't believe they lost this game. Let's try to make sense of it, man. Let's try to make sense of it. Early in this game, the Cardinals, an 8-minute drive, they only get 3 points. Then they have a 10-minute drive, they only get 3 points. You had the pick six. You had Julio freaking Jones with 2 touchdowns in this game. You spoiled the Julio game. You spoiled the Julio game. We made fun of the Cowboys. We made fun of the Cowboys for losing to this team. We made fun of the Cowboys for losing to this team. I just can't believe it, bro. I can't believe it. This team has given up right before our eyes. You come out after halftime, the Cardinals go on a 6-minute drive. They couldn't get off the field all game, the defense. Like I said, 39 minutes to 20 for the Cardinals. 450 total yards of offense. They ran the ball for 220 yards. This Eagles team hadn't given up a 100-yard game on the ground in 24 games. You let them go 4 for 6 in the red zone. They go 5 for 10 on third down. I mean, you couldn't get off the field all game. This defense has no leaders. You let TJ Edwards walk to Chicago. He's had a really good year. You let Kaiser White go. You let CJ Gardner-Johnson, one of the hardest hitters, go, and you didn't replace him with anybody good, okay? Nick Morrow, the guy got cut in training camp. Zach Cunningham is out. You got Shaq Leonard in here trying to, bandage up some of the cuts, and it's not going to work. You got Eli Ricks, Keely Ringo. These guys stink. Reed Blankenship has regressed tremendously, and the defensive line, who I consider to be the leaders of this team, are nowhere to be found. It's frustrating, man. If you guys are on the Instagram, come on over to YouTube, man. A to Z Sports Philly. We're going to end the Instagram, but come on over to YouTube so we can read all your comments. I'm frustrated, man. I'm disgusted. So anyway, the Cardinals go, they punch in a touchdown. Murray throws it to Michael Carter. He breaks a tackle. Shaq Leonard can't stop anybody. Eagles get it back, and what do? They go 3 and out. What do they do on third down, though? 3rd and 5. Let's try the 50-yard bomb down the sideline. And Devonte Smith tried to adjust his body. Probably should have caught it, but could not. Then the Arizona Cardinals come back with another 5-minute drive. James Conner running all over this team. And Kyler Murray has probably one of the touchdowns of the year against this Eagles defense. The worst I've seen. Josh Sweat trying to contain him. Murray breaks a sack and spins, scrambles, throws it up, one-handed catch by James Conner. Then they go for 2, by the way. You get a defensive holding. Can't stop it anyway. That tied it up at 21. Just like that, boom, there you are. Tie game after being up by 15. Jalen Hertz then comes back and answers. I can't even blame Jalen Hertz in this game. Like, he looked good. He looked good. Finds Dallas Goedert, but still the play calling's not there. Then the Cardinals answer with a touchdown with 5:26 to go. Another 5-yard touchdown pass. Murray went for it on 3rd and 4 and had an incomplete pass. Then he comes back. The Cardinals say, screw it. We have nothing to lose. Let's go for it on 4th and 4 at the 5, and they're wide open. Blown coverages left and right, missed tackles. This team looks absolutely embarrassing. How do you let the Cardinals score 29 points in the second half? 29! I can't, this reminds me of that Bengals game in 2020 where it ended up being a tie, right? And I just remember that feeling from that game always sticks in my gut of how just how disappointing it was. That's how I feel right now. I can't even be that mad anymore. I'm disappointed. I'm sick. The Cardinals try an onside kick. They try an onside kick with 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes to go, they try an onside kick because they're trying to lose the game. How do you lose to a team that's trying to lose? They're trying to lose. Eagles have perfect field positions. Not like they can punch it in the end zone or anything because they have no creativity in the red zone. And like I said, back to what I was saying before, quarterback keeper on first down, an RPO on second, and a Gainwell screen on third down, which injures Devonte Smith, and they end up kicking a field goal, and then they blow it. I don't know what to say, man. I'll read some of the comments. Give me your thoughts. Sound off in the comments. Give me a couple words to describe how you were feeling. I want to know how Eagle Nation is feeling deep down right now. Are you mad? Are you frustrated? Are you sick? Do you not care anymore? Are you checked out? What do you think, man? And the only thing I'll give the refs is the DPI. That was awful on Keely Ringo to set them up in good position, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, man. It's frustrating. AJ Brown was pissed off. I'd be pissed off too. I wouldn't talk to the media either. I wouldn't talk to him either. The hope in this city resides with the Sixers and the Flyers right now. And I never thought I'd be saying that, but here we are. Sixers and Flyers town as of now, baby. Crazy. Crazy. All right, I'll read some of your comments, man. Give me a couple words to describe how you're feeling. I don't want to add on to your misery. It's New Year's Eve. It should be a happy vibe, right? It should be a good environment right now. I'm just telling you how I feel. And for the people out there that chimed in last week, I remember the one guy, he said, I'm unfollowing because you're a hater and, you know, all you do is speak negative and all these things, man. I wish I didn't have to do this. I wish I was wrong. I wish. But very, very frustrating. Let me give a shout out to our sponsor here of today's show all year long, the game day sponsor here, BetMGM. Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up with the code ATOZPA and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matter more than ever. Find out why BetMGM is the king of sportsbooks. Sign up today with the bonus code ATOZPA and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. The Eagles absolutely screwed me up on BetMGM. They ruined my parlay. They ruined my spread. I had them at like 11, minus 11. Bad decision by me. I had a Jalen Hertz anytime touchdown. Messed up that as well. Let me go on a final rant here. Let me get it out before I read some of the comments, man. Nick Sirianni should be highly disappointed. He should be embarrassed. He is the owner. He is the culprit of all of this, right? It all leads back, right? The system, the philosophy, all that is under the branch of Nick Sirianni. He needs to take a look in the mirror. He needs to apologize and somehow fire this team up, even though there's no way left. Because like Jalen Hurts said a couple weeks ago, they are not committed. They don't care, okay? Second off, Brian Johnson is the worst offensive coordinator I've ever seen. How can you go and watch a guy who has had so much success for 2 years in this Eagles system, made this offense into a Super Bowl caliber offense, made Jalen Hurts, helped him become an MVP quarterback or an MVP caliber quarterback, and then you go out here and replace that guy who is about to lead the Colts to the playoffs with Gardner Minshew, and you can't replicate anything? You can't add in anything. We've been saying all year, no motion, no creativity. Dallas Goedert evaporates. No A.J. Brown. Like, A.J. Brown, guys, should have 2,000 yards. How did the Eagles have a 1,000-yard rusher, 2 1,000-yard receivers, and I feel like they should have 2 2,000-yard receivers? That's how, like, I feel like they're so restricted. I feel like all the potential is restricted with this team. I feel like A.J. should be a 2,000-yard receiver this year. Even with all that, No creativity. You do nothing. You have Jalen Hertz in the most, in the worst situations to succeed. You give him no rhythm. He can't get going early in games. So Brian Johnson is awful. I would replace him. You replace the wrong coordinator. You go out there, you replace Sean Desai with Matt Patricia. The defense gets worse. The defense gets worse. How? How does the defense get worse? How does the defense get worse? I know they're banged up, but who cares? Nobody wants opportunity. Nobody wants a chance. Shane Steichen is becoming, as apparent as day, the mastermind. He was the mastermind. He was the blueprint of this offense. So frustrated, bro. So frustrated. As talented as this team is, and yes, they still have talent. They still have talent. But they have no heart. They have no heart. This team is embarrassing. And let's talk about the playoffs before I read some of your comments. I promise I'll read your comments, all right? I'm just ranting up here. The Eagles are not winning anything in the playoffs. And it's so sad because the Cowboys are frauds. You hear me? Frauds. 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 The Lions are frauds. The Niners looked like frauds when they played an actual good team last week. They're all frauds. But you know what the Eagles are? They're extra frauds. They are the frauds of the frauds. This team has no hope going into the playoffs. They might lose to the Giants next week. You're now down to 5th in the NFC. You're not going to win the division. That whole division curse, it's a real thing, ladies and gentlemen. It is a real thing. I thought there was no way the Eagles are slipping up on this division. The Eagles had the division won. No team has repeated in 18 years. Excuse me, now it's probably 19, 20? No team has repeated as division winner, and this curse is real. It's real. There's no way. There's no way that the Eagles start playing like this when they're 11-1. I just can't take it, man. Does anybody think they can win a playoff game right now? Who are they going to play now as the 5th seed? Oh, they're going to play the Buccaneers on the road, who lost today, if I'm not mistaken. The Buccaneers. They might lose to Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. They might lose to Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. That's how bad they're playing. That's how bad they're playing. The defense is Swiss cheese. They're done. They're done. And I hope they prove me wrong. I hope they come out here and play the best game of their life. Then they go to the playoffs somehow and they find a way to become the best team ever again. I hope they go to the Super Bowl and I hope they call me out and say you're wrong. But unfortunately, I can see through. I can see it, right? All year long, teams build identities. Teams build identities. This is not the time of year where you should be playing like this and looking as weak as you do and nonchalant and lazy. I didn't see any body language out there on that field that told me that they cared. You lose to the Seattle Seahawks. You get pounded by the Cowboys, by the Niners. You lose to Jonathan Gannon and the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know what to say, guys. I don't know what to say. See what the chat says, man. All right, let's go to the chat. Birds in the Blood says, R.I.P. Jim Johnson. Sean says, playoffs. Don't talk about playoffs. Are you kidding me? Every team has figured out the Eagles except the Eagles. Man, he rambles. Well, I don't know what to tell you, man. What do you expect me to do? What do you expect me to do? No miracle, bro. I wish the old man Jim Johnson was here. We lost to Drew Lock. I wouldn't be surprised if we lost to Baker Mayfield. Buccaneers are going to beat us in the postseason. Doug says start packing the bags to go home. This year and all year has been the worst defensive team I've ever seen in Philadelphia. 49 years and counting. It's unfortunate, Doug. It's sad. It's putrid. It really is, man. Johan says Sirianni's a leech. He stole all the glory from his coordinators. They left. Now he can't pull the team. It is something more than a stain. Yeah, I mean, everybody's looking for answers. I feel like this Eagles team's out there playing like they know something's wrong. They're looking for somebody to be the solution, but there is just no solution. Sad, man. Sean says you'd stand a better chance of hitting the lottery than the Eagles turning it around. Everything is just predictable now. Next game we're going to lose, says Alexander. We might lose to the Giants. We might lose to Tyrod Taylor. Almost got us last time. Almost beat us last time. At halftime, I literally said they were winning this game. I did it to myself 2 games in a row. I did it to myself. I can't believe it. I'm looking up and down this roster. Nobody's a leader. Nobody wants it. And it's not like the Eagles just fall. They fall so hard, right? They fall down and break everything. After the Super Bowl, it's not like they could just go back into like, all right, we're at old age, we're done. Like, they tried to run it back, and it got so bad with the Carson Wentz thing and the Doug Peterson thing. You ended up firing a Super Bowl coach, and here you are in year 3, and it feels like, with how bad you're playing, that somebody's got to get fired again. David says, for the life of me, they still won't run the ball with Swift in the play. Yeah, they don't run Swift. They don't run it with Swift. They didn't do it with Miles Sanders last year. They never give these running backs the amount of carries they should have. And it's the philosophy. It's because your owner and your franchise, your organization want to throw. That's how they want to win games. They want to throw. They don't want Jalen Hertz running. They don't want anybody running. Problem is, when you only have 5 plays in your playbook, it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out. Shorey says, discussing, it's a damn shame, but it's over. Ravens versus Niners in the Super Bowl. I can't even say that with confidence. Because every team right now just does not look good, man. Every team does not look good. I would fire somebody after this game. Maybe if you want to wake somebody up, somebody gets fired again. I'd fire Brian Johnson after this game. What are you going to fire your coordinator again? You're going to fire the coordinator again? You're going to bring somebody else in now? What's the plan? That's why you should have never hit the panic button like that. Now you can't if you make another change, you just look absolutely desperate. I mean, you are for sure, but now what? I think it comes down to multiple layers. Again, you didn't address certain positions of need, but other guys have regressed, and then the coaches have not made up for any of the gaps. That's what's happened. That is what has happened with this team. The offense after the onside was the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. I agree. Like I said, 3 worst plays I've ever seen. Quarterback keeper, RPO, and a Gainwell screen. They have no confidence in anything in the offense. They don't care. You need yards. You do a 3rd and 20 screenplay and it gets Devonte Smith injured. That's warrant for your arrest. Eric says, fire the entire coaching staff. I don't care who they get replaced with. Anything can't be worse than this. I agree, and that's how I feel right now. There's nothing that can be worse than this. I thought there was nothing that could be worse than the loss in Seattle on Monday night. This is 10 times worse. 10 times worse. I mean, with all due respect, who the hell is Greg Dortch? Greg Dortch is out here torching you with the game on the line. Greg Dortch. I think the point of now converting from anger to disappointment has fully kicked in for me. I can't get mad about it anymore because I know what to expect. I know what to expect with this team. Kavan says they're going to fire the wrong person and then we're going to do this again next season. I mean, let me ask you guys, who should be the first person fired? Who should be the first person fired? What's the biggest issue with this team? If you had to pinpoint one issue with this team, who is the number one, or what's the number one area of concern on this team? Like, what's the top issue? Who do you fire on the chain first? I don't even know the answer to that question. Has Nick Sirianni lost the locker room this quick? I mean, I feel like you don't want to pull the trigger on getting rid of a coach like that, especially one that went to the Super Bowl. You saw what happened with Doug. Lucky enough, you got this team built back up the way you did. But then again, when you lose games like this, it's almost like you lost the locker room. You lost everybody. Brian Johnson, Nick, Sean Desai, head coach, Brian Johnson. See, we're all over the place because there's so many people you want to get rid of. There's so many guys you want to get rid of, man. I don't know who you look at now. What does the coach tell the team? What do they go out there and tell the team next week before the Giants game? That we're just going to magically kick it back into place? Does this team practice? Do they practice? They shouldn't even practice. Just rest up. Just rest up. Michael says Nick has to be fired. So many head coaches would die to coach this team. King says, unfortunately, Nick is safe. Dalton says, I think we know it's Sirianni. He lost the locker room, and there are no solidified leaders on the team that I can see. I agree with that right now. I don't think there's anybody that can say anything different. You struggle. You find ways to win games, but then you lose to teams like this. You can't put it past them. So, man, I think it's a culmination of so many different issues, but they've all boiled over and they've all come together at the worst possible time. And, man, it's sad. It really is. It is sad. I'm going to try to see if there's any quotes here before we get out of here. See if Nick Sirianni said anything, or has Jalen Hertz said anything. Let's see. So here's what I got something here about Nick Sirianni. Here's what he said about the play calling on the 3rd and 20. Really, the 3 plays in a row. This is what Nick Sirianni says. These are the types of comments that make me lose my mind. This is what Nick Sirianni had to say about the quarterback run, and screen. If it was too conservative. Quote, I don't think that's conservative. If they're blitzing the gaps, you run a gap scheme. We could have thrown it, but we chose to run it, and it didn't hit. It didn't work. The screen, that's going to be tough to convert. The wind was blowing in our face. We had to get in range. I think at the end of the day, he's just trying to cover for Brian Johnson. He knows how embarrassing this is. But at some point, you got to call somebody out. There has to be accountability, man. There has to be some accountability here, man. I mean, that's just embarrassing. I just don't know what to say. This man got outcoached by Jonathan Gannon. A.J. Brown declined to be interviewed after the loss. Quote, there's nothing to say. I agree, AJ. I agree. There is nothing to say. There is nothing at all to say. I'm just here ranting. You have a 3,500-yard passer. You have 2 1,000-yard receivers. You have a 1,000-yard rusher, a quarterback that can run it, has the most rushing touchdowns in a season in NFL history for a quarterback. And those are the 3 plays you draw up. And he says that's not conservative. They're playing to lose, man. They're playing to lose. Nick Sirianni says, quote, we've got to get things fixed, and we have to fix them fast. You think? You think? There is no fixing. There is no fixing. It's done. It's done. At this point, we're looking towards Nick potentially getting fired, man. We're potentially looking at Nick Sirianni getting fired with the way that these comments are being made. They couldn't even, oh, by the way, one thing I forgot, they couldn't even get a playoff on that last drive, or the touchdown drive where they threw it to Goddard. They couldn't even get a playoff. They had to blow timeouts. Forgot about that. They have no communication. It feels like they don't practice. They don't talk. Like, it feels like this team has no communication whatsoever. This team has no identity, no leaders. They don't want it. Everybody's got to get fired, man. I'm talking myself off the ledge here. I'm literally melting down as this show goes on. They all got to be fired. I don't know what else to say. How do you come back from this? You have all the talent in the world. You should be a Super Bowl team. They don't want it. They don't want it. But yeah, let's blame A.J. Brown, guys. Let's blame A.J. Brown, the guy who has done nothing but come in here and produce. He's come in here and put up 2 1,000-yard seasons. Probably could have 1,800 yards this year if they used them the right way. And let's just blame him, right? Because he didn't talk to the media. Ridiculous, man. Reality is sinking in, ladies and gentlemen. Reality is sinking in. All the guys you picked up, worthless, okay? Shaq Leonard, Kevin Byard, forgot about him. All these guys you picked up, worthless, man. Worthless. Matter of fact, I think somebody's got to be fired after this game. You guys agree or disagree? Agree or disagree? Dalton says, my girlfriend's getting tired of me yelling at the TV every week. I hear you, Dalton. I hear you, man. I can't blame him. If you're an Eagles fan out there, I know the feeling. I'm feeling it right now. You're screaming. You're looking for answers, but there is none. It feels like the 2020 Eagles, man. I think somebody's got to be fired after this game. Jamie says, fire the entire coaching staff. It's clear Sirianni was carried before this year. David says, I love Hertz, but he shouldn't have those rushing touchdowns because the tush push has taken a lot of, tush push is the most reliable play on this team. Most reliable play on this team. Somebody's got to be fired, man. I'd actually sit these guys down. I would play all the young guys next week to make a statement. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. I would play all the third stringers. Let them go out there and actually show some damn heart because this Eagles team has none of it, man. None of it. A lot of questions, no answers, no solutions. I'm frustrated, guys, that I have to sit up here and talk like this because I don't want to. I don't like to, but I have to. I have to. And this is how it's going to be until they are bounced in the playoffs. It's how it's going to be. Till they're bounced in the playoffs. I have no confidence that this team can win a playoff game. I'm not going to go back and listen to the press conferences and you know what? I'm sorry, but this needs to be said, guys. You may disagree with me, but I'm tired of the way Jalen Hurts' demeanor is. I'm not saying that he has to change his leadership style because I think there are different types of bred leaders, but I'm tired of him going out there and that's on me. We got to play better. And he looks like he's about to fall asleep. Okay, he's another one. How come there's no emotion? How come there's no emotion? I need Jalen Hurts to go out there and speak profoundly and say, I am so embarrassed. I am pissed off. I am frustrated. I need him to go out there to the podium and say things like that with an actual bold confidence in his voice. Not going out there and say, that's on me. At the end of the day, we just got to get better. We got to get better, man. And he just sits up there and whispers and doesn't say much. Like, we need answers. We need answers. I'm just spewing at this point, man. But I'm frustrated, and I think you got to look elsewhere. for next week. I think they could lose to the Giants, absolutely. I don't even know what happens if they lose to the Giants. I mean, I guess they're going to get the 5th seed at this point. Oh, great. Oh, great. Let's end it off with something even more sour, guys. It just doesn't get better, man. Devonte Smith is on crutches with a walking boot outside the locker room. You could cancel this season, man. Just cancel it. A 3rd and 20. Thanks a lot, Brian Johnson. Thanks a lot. Your dumb ass screens on 3rd and 20 has a walking boot and crutches for Devonte Smith. I didn't think it'd get possible to hate Brian Johnson any more than I do. I didn't think it'd get even more possible to hate him this way. You just took out Smitty, man. I'm frustrated. Philadelphia Eagles lose. They go down 35-31 in an embarrassing performance. They lose to Jonathan Gannon and the Arizona Cardinals. At the beginning of this season, I said there was one automatic on the schedule, and that was Week 17 against the Cardinals, against Jonathan Gannon. I said that was the automatic game that they were winning this year. I was wrong. And, man, it's frustrating. But I hope you all have a great New Year's and stay happy and healthy and safe. And, forget about this Eagles team for a little bit, man, because it's not pretty right now. It's not pretty. So we'll see how it plays out, man. We'll see if anybody has any answers. Probably not. But Eagles go down. They fall to 11-5. And this was the worst game of the year. No words. Nothing to say. I appreciate everybody for coming through to the chat, though. If you've been here in the YouTube chat, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Deeply appreciate it. And everybody that has been coming through for these shows all year. We'll be back next week, obviously, and we'll be dropping our videos on YouTube. If you're on the Facebook channel, hit that share button and, spread it around. You spread the word around so we can all rant together. See how the rest plays out, man. Appreciate you guys coming through and hope everybody has a great rest of their night. And I will catch you all on the next one.